Yesterday at approximately 4 p.m., the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office responded to Mary Immaculate Hospital in the city of Newport News based on a walk-in male in his 80s that had gone into the emergency room and announced to the emergency room staff that he had a deceased child in the back of his vehicle, and that vehicle was parked right at the entrance to the emergency room doors. The emergency room personnel from Mary Immaculate then went out to the car, and in the rear hatch of the vehicle they observed a black plastic trash bag, and inside that black plastic trash bag they discovered a deceased 11-month-old child. That child has been identified as Miracle Wicker, date of birth October the 19th, 2022. So clearly at that point, the Investigations Division of the York-Poquoson Sheriff's Office got involved, and during the course of the next several hours, we conducted an investigation that led later last night to the arrest of the caretaker of that child, and I'll provide that information in just a moment. What we've been able to determine so far in the course of our investigation is that the caretaker had the child, had been in possession of the child and taken care of it for approximately 2 days. The mother is a 17-year-old who lives here in York County as well, and this woman periodically would take care of the child, sometimes for weeks at a time, is what our investigation has determined. At approximately 1 a.m. night before last, the morning of September the 12th, the caretaker received a phone call from a friend who was in the city of Newport News who was taking care of an elderly person there. The caretaker and the friend both take turns taking care of this individual, and this person that called was asking for the caretaker to bring cigarettes to her because she couldn't leave the elderly gentleman at 1 o'clock in the morning. So the 11-month-old child was put in the back of the vehicle along with a small dog and transported to Newport News, where they went to a 7-Eleven, purchased cigarettes and a bottle of apple juice, and all of that is on video. We've gotten the video from that 7-Eleven. She then took the child and the small dog and drove to the home, gave their friend the cigarettes, and stayed there for some period of time. Our evidence and our investigation determined that she returned back to the 3600 block of Seaford Road in York County, where she resides, and was keeping the child somewhere around 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday morning. Once she got home, she rolled the windows up on the car, turned the car off, left the dog and the child in the vehicle. Around 2 to 2:30 p.m. yesterday afternoon, she was awakened by a phone call, went outside to then check on the child, who was at that point deceased. The child was brought into the house. The individual that later took the child to Mary Immaculate Hospital placed the child in a black plastic bag and transported the child to Mary Immaculate, where the doctors there, when they came out, also agreed that the child was deceased, and that's what started our investigation. So based on the circumstances that I've provided to you just now, last night Sheriff's Office investigators arrested Kristen Danielle Graham of the 3600 block of Seaford Road in Yorktown. She's a white female, 40 years of age. She's been charged with felony child neglect, which is a class 4 felony, and she was also charged with animal cruelty based on the death of the dog as well that was in the vehicle, which is a class 1 misdemeanor. And she was taken to the Virginia Peninsula Regional Jail, where she is still incarcerated at this time. Now today we are awaiting results of the autopsy of the child, because if we received information from the medical examiner today or at some time in the future, there's a very good possibility that these charges could be upgraded to homicide charges. These are not typical situations that we deal with in York County. And when you do come across the death of a child, it affects everyone. The investigators, the law enforcement people there, the EMS people that have to respond to these types of things. And I can tell you that the mood of the agency today, when we had a briefing on it this morning, is somewhat shock and disbelief, even though, you know, we're professionals and we have to do everything that we possibly can do to do a thorough professional investigation. It affects the people. Like I said, we have children ourselves, and I can tell you that we all go home and hug our kids and our grandkids a little tighter after something like this happens.